All right, so let's talk to the Eagles head coach, Nick Sirianni, of course, on a 6-game winning streak. And Nick is brought to us by Bud Light. Join Elliot, who we just had on the program, Elliot Shore Parks at Chickies and Pete's in Terminal E of the airport this Thursday at 7 a.m. Free Bud Light Eagles T-shirts and crab fries while supplies last. I will remind everybody, we will be at the Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia tomorrow for a 12-hour broadcast. Our program for 4 hours, and then the next 2 shows after that, a 12-hour extravaganza, talking Eagles football, kind of coming out of that mini-bye, and a great opportunity for us to talk Eagles football, including right now with the 8-2 head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning, Coach. Nick. So, Nick, 10-1 last year, and you're getting close to that record again, now 8-2. Does the last year thing, the way it ultimately fell apart, will that factor into your messaging in the next few weeks to make sure the guys remember it and avoid it, from happening again in the coming months?
No, we've learned from last year's mistakes, and that's what this whole beginning part of this year has been. And so, we learn from our mistakes. We don't dwell on them. We don't think back on them. But we've already learned from that, just the same way as we don't look too far into the future. We're worried about the Rams, and that's it. And so, last year was last year. We had a bad ending to last year. The same reason I wouldn't talk about 22 and how we ended that year, where we, ended on a hot streak, or 21, where we ended up, I think, like 7-2 to finish up things. So just the same way, we won't go back into that because, again, we've learned from those, and that's what we've been focused on, of learning from our past mistakes, and now here we are. Let's go beat the Rams.
The mini bye after the Washington game for the players, Nick, how valuable is it?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Obviously, playing a Thursday night game for the players and their bodies is tough, but then they get the long weekend to rest and to, come back out, fresh for the next game. And so, having that advantage, where the Rams play, on Sunday, we get to play on Thursday. That's always an advantage. So we've the guys that, came in yesterday rested, and then, as coaches, what we did was, did some self-scout stuff, that was big, and that's really important. And it's good when it's the, early bye, you do your self-scout. After that, you had we have a 6-game stretch, another self-scout. So it's been good. Been good timing in between those things. And we'll try to come out and make sure that we're fresh as players and, got some new wrinkles here as offense and defense.
You mentioned the self-scout. Why does it seem that running the football has become more in vogue in the NFL again?
Yeah, there's the defenses are really showing, different things here to try to keep a cap on the defense and to make sure that they're not giving up explosive plays. I think that's been an emphasis for the last couple of years of the NFL, just trying not to get explosive plays given up. And when you take away something, you're susceptible to something. And that's kind of the ebbs and flows of the league and how those things go. And so, maybe that's a little bit, I can't only speak for our team. That might be a uptick of the rest of the league and what they're doing. I can't speak for that, but, that's something that we've experienced. And we got a really good offensive line. We got a great running back, got a great quarterback, got great receivers. So, again, as far as that goes, like, it all plays into it. What are they doing to stop A.J. and Devontae that week? Might open up the run game and vice versa to open up some things in the pass game.
Nick, it helps to have that Saquon guy on your squad, though, right?
Yeah, he's not bad.
He's not bad.
Not too shabby.
So, Nick, let's talk about the offense. It's almost so, I don't know if you remember Ryan Howard's career with the Phillies, but maybe not since Ryan Howard, who would start slow every year for 2 months and then just be gangbusters back half of the year. Have I seen anything like what happens with your offense? It's not just Jalen. I mean, there's false starts, and there's this, and the guy drops the ball, and the offense starts slow, and then in the second half, it cranks it up. And I know you've been thinking about this. Why and how do you avoid that from continuing with the negative side early?
Yeah, like you said, it's never just one thing. It's the greatest team sport there is. You win as a team, you lose as a team, you start slow as a team, you start fast as a team, and so there's many different things that go into it. We're busting our butts trying to make sure we do everything we can do as coaches to fix it. I know the players are doing everything that they can do to fix it, because it's important that you start fast. It's important that you build leads, and you don't want to have these tight games and then blow them out. Just the same way you don't want to get a big lead and then let the team get back into it. So it's just playing a full football game. I think the defense has definitely been doing that offensively. We got to put together a full game, where we're starting fast, and we've had moments of that. The last 2 weeks have not been. And I think that you're always going to think about your most recent games, but we've had moments where we've had some games go faster for us offensively. But we got to do that consistently, and we got to do that, this upcoming week, because we know we have a really good opponent coming up.
Nick, I know you don't want to give away game plans. I totally respect it. I'll just say, and tell me if this vibes with your thinking, that Jalen runs less early, but runs more later, and that's part of why the team hums on offense more later in the games. I mean, does that sound accurate?
Yeah, again, we're doing everything we can do to start fast. So if that's a Jalen run, we'll run Jalen runs. If it's necessary to run him late, we'll run him late. And so that may appear that way. I haven't really looked at it that way, but it may appear that way. But again, like I said, everything we're trying to do is to get that lead, is to play with a lead, because then our defense can, their offense has to become one-dimensional. And so we just got to do what we need to do to fix, the slow starts offensively. Now, I think the defense has been starting obviously very fast, and kind of maintaining through the game. And so again, you just want to play a full complementary football game, so you can play your best. And that's what you're striving to do as you go later and later into the season.
Nick, a big reason our defense has been so great is our rookie cornerbacks, Quinyon and Cooper. How worried are you about the rookie wall with two rookie starters essentially on the back end, and how do you combat that?
Yeah, everybody has an individualized plan. No, everybody's plan's a little bit different. Their practice schedule, their lifting schedule, their fundamental schedule. So you think about everybody individually, and you take into account the rookies and the guys playing, deeper, into the season. Like, as you see right now, the college football is getting longer and longer. And I know that's always a thing for us to look at. But college football is getting longer and longer. They're still playing. We still have a couple more weeks of them playing. And then with the conference championships, I think those go into, December, middle of December there. So like you're talking about a 3-4 week period, because then they go on break, and you get into the playoffs and everything like that. So, we're thinking about them. It's the same thing you guys kind of asked me about, Saquon managing his touches, his load management, everything like that. Again, you do what you need to do to win every single game. This is unlike any other sport, right? You have to do everything you can do. There's only 17 of these things. And you have to do everything you can do to win the game, and then you try to take care of them at practice. And so, there's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of people that help me with that. And so we got to do the right things at practice. But, with that being said, you got to practice to get better as well. And so there's a fine line there. You got to practice and, your fundamentals, you got to practice everything that goes into it so you continue to rise, but also want them to be fresh as the season goes on. So it's something that's not quite as simple as like, hey, just rest them, because, again, you want to keep getting better as the season goes on. So it's a fine line, but that's why I got some good people here helping me with that. And ultimately, I have to make a decision what I think is best for the football team. So, again, those fundamentals are going to be critical, and I don't want, we're playing with good fundamentals right now. I want those to continue. While also making sure these guys stay fresh as the season continues. Nick
Sirianni with us right now, of course, preparing in a couple days for the game against the Rams on Sunday. Nick, let's talk, if we could, for a moment here about Zack Baun. So I'm blown away by a season, and I think we all are. It's one of the more out-of-nowhere success stories in Philadelphia sports I can ever think of. And by out of nowhere, obviously he came from somewhere, but most of us have never heard of him. He never played this position before. And I'm curious if you can just tell us, back in the all-season, the identification of let's sign that guy and let's change his position and let's feature him, and I believe in him. Is that primarily, I mean, from your recollection, was that Howie? Was that Vic Fangio? Was that a scout? I mean, it's an incredible find. Is that you? Like, who did that? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think anytime you go through failures, anytime you go through successes, it is truly a team game. It is, and that what Zach's been doing, I think that's a credit to everyone working together. That's what good organizations do. They work together to figure out the best path. And, Howie and his staff did a great job of identifying, Zack Baun and the athletic ability of Zack Baun. Vic had a vision for how he was going to use Zack Baun, that's how those things go, right? Again, like Howie could love a guy and we don't see a vision for him, or vice versa. We could love a guy and it'd be there's a lot of things that go into it. So I just think it's good teamwork of the front office and the coaching staff. And I've really valued that from day one since I got here with Howie. I mean, I am so fortunate that I have a GM of his caliber and the things that he's done for this football team, this city, and helped me become the coach that I am. He just constantly has this vision of how he gets this football team better as far as the talent that he brings in through the draft, through free agency, through everything. And then again, like you said, you communicate, him and Vic, and myself talking about it. Hey, this guy looks a little bit like this guy, Vic, that you've had in your system. Vic agrees, boom, we go. And then, once you get the guy in here, right, then Howie's done his job, got the guy in here. Now it's our job as coaching staff to put him in those positions that we have the vision for, and then continue to help him refine his skills as a football player to get better. And I think that a lot of that credit goes to Bobby King and his linebacker coach of the skills of playing inside linebacker, and how that is different of some of the things he used to do in New Orleans. So again, I think that's a home run for the organization. Howie, and the coaching staff and Zack Baun himself. And so you get really excited about those. Just like, we don't score touchdowns anymore as coaches, right? We help them score touchdowns. We don't get sacks anymore. We help them get sacks. And so that's a great feeling when it's just a team win and a player like Zack Baun succeeding. But make no mistake about it, all the credit and most of the credit goes to Zack Baun and the player that he is, the toughness that he has. And man, I'm so glad he's on this football team.
Hey, Nick, final thing. There was something said this week, and when I heard it, I thought of you, because obviously you've dealt with your criticism around here, and specifically on our station, and also praise at times. And so I want to play some audio that John Gruden said recently about WIP and Gruden's experience as an offensive coordinator of the Eagles back in the mid to late 1990s. Here's something Gruden said, and I want to ask you a question here.
You ever heard of WIP radio?
Oh, yeah.
The TV show?
No, it's a big radio, sports radio in Philadelphia.
The callers on that show or something
Brutal.
else. Yep.
We lost to the 49ers in the playoff game, like 20-0 or 20-3. I was offensive coordinator, and I was listening. Caller calls in and says, Jack Gruden, the guy's an idiot. He says, if the guy's IQ is 1 point less, he'd be a plant. He's a f***ing idiot. I'm driving down the car, I got tears in my eyes. I'm
laughing, yeah.
Oh, my God.
All right, here's the $1 million question, Nick, because I know you're a sports fan. Do you listen to WIP? In the good times, in the bad times, in the good times, do you listen, sir?
Man, I wish I could tell you I did, because that'd be a good response by you guys on the show. I do have, my buddy who is a high school football coach in Western New York, where I grew up. I talked to him he had a big game last week in the regional championship at Buffalo Bills Stadium. And I talked to him just to wish him good luck, see how the team looked and everything like that. And he says to me, yeah, I've been listening to a lot of WIP. So you got a fan in Western New York with Tommy Langworthy, my real good buddy. I don't get to listen, but Tommy's listening, and I respect that he's doing that. But great show. You guys, have obviously done a unbelievable job as sports talk radio. Nice. and the nation. I know the entire nation looks at that as what great sports talk radio we have here in Philadelphia.
Well, it's kind of you. Look, obviously it's not about buttering us up. I appreciate the kind words.
We're going to keep our eyes peeled for Tommy
Shout out
Langford,
to
though.
Tommy!
Yeah, it's just
He's a big-time coach.
Good. Because, Nick, we have Ruben Amaro here, former Phillies general manager. And, Ruben, you used to, in addition to calling in as Ruben Amaro, you would call in as a fake name sometimes,
Every
right?
once in a while. Just a couple of times. Just for entertainment.
And sometimes he would rip himself?
Ruben, did you pile on the things they were saying about you?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I did, yeah. It was easy.
Nick, our feelings are not hurt. I can understand why you would stay away and focus on what you got going. Look, Nick, good luck against the Rams. Again, congratulations on 6 straight wins, and good luck on Sunday, Nick.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
Thanks,
there he
Coach.
is, Nick Sirianni.